In today's video, I'm going to be tier ranking the 70 plus mystery thriller books I read in 2024. This is one of my favorite ways to just wrap up my most read genres at the end of the year. I like to look back at all the books I read in that genre, so I do a video for mystery thrillers, and then I'll also do a video for horror books since those are my most read genres over the year. And I just go through all of them, put them on a tier ranker, and it's a nice way to encapsulate what were my best books of the year, which ones have I forgot that I even read at this point, and which ones would I probably not recommend. So first, let's start with a couple of books that I just recently read. If you saw my latest video, those were a couple Christmas mysteries. Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret was my favorite of the video. I did give it a 5-star, but I'm just gonna put it at great because I would not call this the best of all time, seeing as it is just a short little novella. The Christmas Appeal, I thought that one was okay, and The Christmas Guest, I would also say okay. I do feel like The Christmas Appeal won't be super memorable and would maybe end up in the Forgot I Read This bucket if it was any farther away than just a couple weeks ago that I read it. But for now, we're gonna leave it in It Was Okay. Now I'm going to try to find all of the Goodreads Choice Awards nominees. I did read all 20 this year. I also just did a video recently where I was finishing out the 9 that I had not read yet at that point. So we can talk about all of those. The Mystery Guest, this one I gave a 3-star to. I thought it was okay. It's the second book in a series and it's just a cozier mystery. Perfectly fine. Not what she seems. This one, there were things that I actively disliked about it. This bucket isn't necessarily like the worst of the worst, but it's for the books that there was something that made me dislike it, whereas Forgot I Read This is books that just aren't as memorable to me. I gave this one a 2-star. I liked the ending, it just took too long to get there. It wasn't paced very well, so I didn't hate it, but there were things that I actively disliked. We Solve Murders, I love this one. I gave this a 5-star. I don't know if it's gonna be a best of all time because this is the first book in a series, and I think seeing more from the series will really help me know if it's like a favorite series of all time or not. So for now, I'm just gonna say it was great. The Last One at the Wedding, I actively disliked. I gave that a 2-star and I found it pretty boring. Darling Girls, I would say it was okay. I read this one in the middle-ish of the year, I think, but I don't find it super memorable. I've read a lot of books from Sally Hepworth and this one does not stand out to me, so I'm putting it in that bucket. The Midnight Feast, I thought that one was okay. The God of the Woods, I also feel like it was okay. I give it like a 3.5 when I read it earlier in the year. It's not super memorable to me, but it's distinct enough that I'm gonna put it in It Was Okay. Middle of the Night, actively really disliked that and gave that a 1-star. The Return of Ellie Black, I liked this one quite a bit. I'm gonna say it was great. Gave it a 4-star. The Night We Lost Him, I did not like that one at all, so that's gonna be an actively disliked, and so is The Teacher. That one, I have a full video on The Teacher that I did earlier in the year if you really want to hear why. I just do not think that book was good. Society of Lies, this one I did like. I'm gonna put it in It Was Okay because it doesn't super stand out as being a very distinct story, but I did like the writing in it. How to Solve Your Own Murder, I did really like this one. I read it a little bit earlier in the year and it almost got a 5-star, but I don't find the main character super memorable. And for a mystery series, I feel like you really want to have a super memorable main character, so I'm just gonna say it was great. Home Is Where the Bodies Are, I actively disliked. The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden, I feel like this one was okay. Listen for the Lie, I know a lot of people love this one, but for me it was just okay. The Heiress, I felt like was just okay. And then All the Colors of the Dark, I really enjoyed that one. I'm gonna say it was great. I don't know that it's gonna be a best of all time for me. I'm being more selective and picky with that section. First Lie Wins, I didn't love that one, so I'm gonna say actively disliked. And then House of Glass, I also actively disliked. So far we've gotten through my 2 most recent reading vlogs and nothing has been a best of all time yet. Lots of things were okay and lots of things I actively disliked, but most of that, in fact, all of that is the Goodreads Choice Awards. So it'll be interesting to see how many more things end up in this bucket or if this really just like dragged my reading down for a bit. Okay, why don't we do the other Richard Osman books next? Because I did read the Thursday Murder Club series this year. It's hard for me to remember them distinctly and like what the different storylines were in each of them. I know I've rated them a bit differently. I think the Thursday Murder Club might have been a 4 and then The Bullet That Missed and The Man Who Died Twice were either 3 or 3.5, but they all kind of blend together for me in my mind. And I haven't read the fourth one yet, but I do plan to do so. I feel like for the series as a whole, I do think it's great. The format of the mystery just doesn't hit that 5-star feeling for me, because the mysteries are always about like other people, and something about that, and like there's always diamonds or money or smuggling or something. I don't know, something about it is just not my favorite, but I think I'm going to say they're all great, because collectively they are. Like, I look forward to reading those. I enjoy them. They're a great time. We could do a couple Janice Hallett books. I think there's only 2. Oh no, there's 3. So The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels, I'm excited to say, is the first book I'm going to put into the best of all time category. I absolutely loved that book. I think it's so smart. I think she's so smart. It was darker than I expected it to be. I loved the way it played with its own format. It was just wonderful. If you like mixed media murder mysteries and you're not reading Janice Hallett, what are you doing? But if you haven't read The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels especially, what are you doing? Go pick that up. The Appeal, I also gave a 5-star to, but I don't know that it's the best of all time for me. I think that one to me is just great. And then the Twyford Code, I actually didn't love when I was reading it, because it was so straightforward and I just wasn't feeling as engaged in it. And then by the end, there's this reveal that made me really appreciate the story and look at it in a different way. So I think because of that, I'm gonna put it in the okay category. And I feel like maybe if you started here with Janice Hallett's stuff, your expectations wouldn't be as high. It was just, after having read The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels, my standards were like way up here, and that one just wasn't quite that. We can do the Benjamin Stevenson books next, because I did reread Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone this year, and then I read the sequel, Everyone on This Train is a Suspect. The first book I gave a 4-star to the first time I read it and the second time I read it. That one is just a 4-star for me, but I do really like it. I like the voice of this series. I think it's very fun. It's a fun series to follow. The second book I did not love as much. That one for me, I'm gonna say, was just okay. I'm really hopeful for the third book in the series that it's going to be something that pulls me back in. I think I had high expectations because I love the concept of a mystery on a train, and it just didn't do it for me the same way the first book did. Who else have I read from multiple times this year? We have Angie Kim. I read Happiness Falls and I loved it. That one is the best of all time. And because I loved it, I picked up Miracle Creek. And then I also loved that one, and I would say that's the best of all time as well. I really adore both of those books. Angie Kim is writing more philosophical mysteries with more of a literary tone to them, and I just love the way she's able to bring all these different themes and concepts together and pack it in this like intricate examination of all these different themes, but it all goes together so cohesively, and it just makes you think about things, and they'd be great book club picks, and I just love them so much, and I'm so excited to get a new book from her. I don't know when it's coming, but I definitely want more. Let's see, there's another Frida book in here. This was The Widow's Husband's Secret Lie, whatever this was called. It was a novella or a short story that she wrote. Novella? I think it was 60-ish pages. I don't know. I read it on Kindle. It was marketed as a satire. I have no idea how to rate it. I didn't know how to rate it when I read it, and I honestly don't remember it much. So I'm gonna put it in Forgot I Read This. I almost never think about that when I'm thinking about the books that I've read from Frida. It was purposefully done. I wouldn't say it's worth picking up. The other Frida I have is The Housemaid is Watching. This is the third book in the Housemaid series, and I gave it a 2. I'm gonna put it in actively disliked. It felt very unnecessary. It was very slow, very boring, very drawn out. The main character is interesting in the first book, and as the story progresses and the series progresses, she continues to get less interesting, which has been really disappointing to follow. I hope the series is done. I know that there's a short story or novella about the wedding that came out recently, and it's actually like a 2.5. It's between the events of book 2 and 3. It sounds really unnecessary. I'm not gonna read it. I hope the series just ends here. I think those are all my cases of multiple books from the same author. So we'll just go from the beginning now. The Other People is an arc that I recently read. It comes out in March of next year, and I really disliked that book. I did vlog about it if you want to hear more. It was very disappointing. One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware, I actually really loved. I feel like I don't really know anyone else who did. I do think I am an outlier here. However, I love a survival thriller. Something about them just works so well for me. I felt such rage reading this book. That was so effective for me. It feels kind of dramatic to call it a best of all time, but out of the thrillers that I read this year, this is one of the best ones. I was not really liking thrillers as much this year. I was leaning more into the mysteries, but that one I actually really loved. The House Swap is a book that I had as an ARC. It's probably published by now. It was in that recent reading blog I did with the other people, and it's going to sit right beside the other people because it ended up disappointing me. I really liked the setup and the concept. It was about two families house swapping, and then dark things happen, dun dun dun. Took way too long to get there, and then was not that exciting. The Haters by Robin Harding, I was also pretty disappointed with, but let me tell you, I actually can't really remember much about it. So it's gonna go and forgot I read this, but I know I gave it a 2-star. I really loved The Drowning Woman from Robin Harding, so I was really looking forward to The Haters. I'm not gonna say I hated it, because that would be dramatic. I didn't hate it, but I did actively dislike it. But mostly, I forgot everything about it besides the premise. Fish Swimming in Dappled Sunlight. I liked this when I read it. I did give it a 3, so I'm gonna put it in it was okay. I do remember what that book was doing, so I haven't like forgotten that I read it fully, but it's also not the most distinct story in my mind, probably because of the writing style of it and just the concept of it. It's set over the course of one night, and then it also involves some flashbacks that ends up presenting a mystery to you, the reader, sort of. It's a strange book. It has a very low average rating. I don't think most people enjoy it, but I did like it. Death in the Air, I did not like. I was really looking forward to that one. It sounded very interesting. The structure of it was just strange. It was strange. You think you're going to be reading one thing, and then it kind of starts in a different way, and then it kind of opens this interesting idea, but then it goes away from that, and then it's kind of about something else, and you're like, wait, but is that important? What is the framing of the story? It was just a little bizarre. Yeah, just didn't love that one. The Murder After the Night Before. This one ended up being a bit boring, so I'm gonna put it in actively disliked. The concept begins with a woman waking up with a stranger in her bed, and then she finds out her roommate is dead, and then she's trying to trace what happened, and it just drags on for a really long time. It was okay, like I didn't hate it, but nothing to write home about. The Devotion of Suspect X. I liked this one. I'm gonna say it was okay. It did have me on the edge of my seat while reading it because of the structure of it. It's not so much a mystery to you, the reader. It's more of like a can they get away with it type of story. But I didn't love the pacing, and especially the ending felt very abrupt to me. So that one I'm gonna say is okay. Every time I go on vacation, someone dies, I actually really loved. Is it a best of all time? I'm not sure. I feel like it's kind of hard with the first book in a series to determine that, because it does feel like I have to look at the series collectively. This one kind of has the tone of everyone in my family has killed someone and How to Solve Your Own Murder, which are both in my great tier. But I do think that this one's my favorite out of that style of writing. So I think I'm gonna call it a best of all time because of that category of my reading. That's the best one I read this year, I think. It follows an author who's going on this vacation in Italy, and she's been writing this long series of books, and they feature this guy who is inspired by this guy she knows in real life, and she's been trying to kill him off in the stories because everyone's obsessed with him and she is annoyed, and so she wants to kill him off and be done with it. And then someone in real life starts trying to actually kill him. And so it's a mystery of who is the active threat trying to kill him or potentially other people around them. It was just a really fun time. I really liked it. I'm really looking forward to the next book in the series, which I do already have an arc of, and I'm like dying to read, but I'm trying to push it out a little bit so I read it closer to the publication date. So yeah, I'm gonna call that one a favorite of all time. Just Another Missing Person by Gillian McAllister, I never know. That one I'm gonna say was great. I did give it a 5-star. It's not the most memorable to me because it's kind of a story about just another missing person, but there's some clever twists in it, and I was really engaged in the story and I really enjoyed her writing, so yeah, it was great. The Last Murder at the End of the World. This one was just okay to me, which was disappointing because I have read the 2 prior novels from Short Turn and given them both 5 stars. So I had high hopes, but this one I just did not love as much, but fingers crossed for the next one. Hopefully we can get back on the 5-star streak. The Other Side of Night, I loved this. This is also one of my favorite thrillers of the year, and I'm gonna call it a best of all time. It plays with some themes that I especially enjoy in mystery thrillers. It was clever, it surprised me, I enjoyed the writing style, it was great. Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier. I did not really like this one. This is the first thing I've read from Jennifer Hillier, and I do want to try her again in 2025 because I know she's very popular, but that one I just didn't love, so then I haven't been inspired to pick up more works from her, but I am interested to try something else. Sometimes I lie. I gave that one a 2-star, so I'm going to put that in actively disliked. I did predict the big twist, and that kind of ruined the book for me. The Mosquito by B.A. Paris. This is a short story that I'm gonna say was okay. It has a very summery feel to it. It's about obsession. It's part of one of the Amazon original stories collections. The collection theme, I think, is all obsession. That's still the only one I've read in that collection, but I liked it. Hunted is a thriller that I read, and how did I feel about it? How did I feel about it? I'm gonna say it wasn't the most memorable to me. There's a lot of different POVs in it. It's more of a blockbuster thriller where it kind of feels like a movie, like an action movie, and it just doesn't stand out to me very much. The Quiet Tenant I caught up on this year after a lot of people loved it last year, and I do think it was great. I didn't love it as much as many other people did, but I really appreciated it. I thought the writing was great. Maybe if my expectations wouldn't have been as high after hearing people like absolutely praise it so much, maybe I would have enjoyed it even more and been more surprised by it, but yeah, I liked it. It was great. One of the Snows by Alyssa Cole. This one is not the most memorable to me, I'll be honest. It has a very strong concept, like it stands out, the concept of it, and what it's doing in the book stands out in my memory a lot, but the details of it are kind of gone. Night Watching by Tracy Sierra. I actively disliked that book. I know a lot of people loved it this year, but for some reason it just did not click with me. I was not engaged. I did not care. I did not like it. I felt like I was reading a different book from everyone else. It was a weird time. Murder in the Family. I really liked this one. I'm gonna say it was great. I did an entire video dedicated to that one recently. Mother-Daughter Murder Night. This one I thought was okay. Just like a cozy family mystery. It's a Reese Witherspoon book club pick. You kind of know what you're getting with it. It was a good time. Drowning by TJ Newman. I really enjoyed Falling by TJ Newman. That one had some more psychological elements to it. Drowning was a straightforward survival story, which you would think I would love, but it just didn't have that extra element where it's like, who do I trust? Or is there gonna be a twist surprise that I love in survival stories? And so this one I actively disliked. It just did not do it for me. You Know What You Did is not super memorable to me. I remember my experience with that book was so strange because I was just trying to figure out what kind of book it was for a lot of it, and so I can't really remember much of it. The Sleepwalkers by Scarlett Thomas. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was great. I really liked the structure of it and how it was playing with like fragments of stories and different people's POVs contributing to you piecing together the greater mystery of it. Thought that one was a great time. A Grim Reaper's Guide to Catching a Killer. I thought this one was okay. That is the start of a cozy mystery series. I did a lot of that this year. Started a lot of cozy mystery series. That one was not my favorite. It's probably my least favorite. I don't think I would say I actively disliked it because the concept's fun. You're following like a Grim Reaper and a soul, and she's trying to help him solve the mystery of who murdered him. But it just didn't all come together as strongly as I would have liked it to. A Game of Lies. This is a second book in a series by Claire McIntosh. The first book was called The Last Party. I thought this was really good. I gave it a 5-star. I don't think it's a best of all time because it's just kind of like a straightforward detective series, but I really like the characters. I like the writing. This one is like a reality TV show that's being filmed out in the wilderness is the settings, and that was kind of fun. I just really enjoy her writing style, and yeah, thought that one was great. The Verifiers, this one I thought was okay. There is a second book coming out, and I actually do have the audiobook from Libro FM ALC program. I don't know if I'm going to continue or not. I really like the concept of this series. It's set around this world with this like dating app, and this woman's job is to verify people's identities on dating apps and see if they're actually real and like run background checks for you, and then a murder mystery kicks off from there. It did lean a little bit into the literary fiction feel. I don't know. I like the concept. I just didn't love the full execution of it. Only If You're Lucky by Stacey Willingham. I have no memory of what that book is about. I think it was about college students in some capacity, and I know that I thought it was okay when I read it. I think I gave it a 3. Couldn't tell you anything about it. Totally forgot about it. You Look Better as a Ghost. I really liked the beginning of this one. I did give it a 3-star when I read it, but I can't say that it holds a very strong place in my memory. It's a female serial killer novel, and I keep trying those. I know people love those, and I love the idea of it, but I never love the books. I don't know why. I just haven't found one that I really, really loved. Kill for Me, Kill for You. I really enjoyed this. I am going to put it in It Was Great. I gave it a 4-star. I do think it is one of the best thrillers that came out this year. It's a strangers on a train concept of 2 people killing someone for the other person so that it can't be traced back to them. It wasn't the most surprising, but it was a really fun time, really good read, especially in a little bit of a thriller drought this year. That one was really good. Murder Road, I thought this one was okay. I'm a very average Simone St. James fan. I feel like I just generally enjoy her books. I never really love them, but I like them. I have a good time with them. She's Not Sorry. I remember this book just really making me drop my jaw. I was listening to this on audiobook, and I remember being so surprised by the twist. I don't remember anything about the book though, and I feel like I have to be honest about that and put it in Forgot I Read This, but I promise it was so fun when I read it. It's just not memorable to me now. Domestic thrillers usually are not. While We Were Burning. This one is also just not memorable to me. I know I like the setup of it and the concept, but I feel like it didn't do a ton, and I can't remember much about the plot because it feels like not a lot happened. The Gathering by CJ Tudor, that one was great. Vampires in Alaska, love CJ Tudor, loved that one. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I really enjoyed this. I did give it a 5-star. I still have not continued in the series. I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know that it's the best of all time, but I will say it was great. The Guest by B.A. Paris. This one's not super memorable to me. I know I read it in like February, so it was earlier in the year, and again, it's just a domestic thriller. I did like it at the time, but not enough to really remember it. What Is Mine? Read more like a family drama than a straightforward mystery or thriller, but I did enjoy it, so I'm gonna say that one was okay. And then Swiped, I really like this one. I don't know if it's the best of all time, but I'm gonna say it was great. I don't know if that's the start of a series or if the author just has another book coming out next year and it's not connected to that. I actually can't remember, but I do have it on my radar. It was really fun. It just wasn't like the most standout out of all the rest of the books, and then that only makes me have 6 in my best of all time, which feels very reasonable. So that's it for all of my mystery thrillers. Ended up with quite a bit in the great bucket, which is nice. I am more heavily weighted on the bottom though of It Was Okay and below. And I do feel like I did tend to gravitate towards mysteries a lot more this year than thrillers. I don't know if that'll continue next year. Hopefully there will be some better thrillers coming out. I just don't feel like there were a ton of great ones this year. So if some really exciting ones come out, maybe that could turn the tides. But for now, I'm really enjoying some mysteries. I'm really enjoying some mystery series, which is new for me. This year I really got into a lot more series than I ever have before. And yeah, that was it. Let me know down in the comments below if anything surprised you. But that was it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.